I love sunbathing. We have such cute pools. I wish I had one. I mean, if you didn't wear that bikini top, we're gonna get tan lines.
Yeah, you know what? My dad's not home. We should just take him off.
Have you, ever been with somebody older before? I mean, like, yeah, like a guy.
Probably best, Sarah.
Lola, just please sit down. Sit down. I just wanted your friends to like me.
Well, you know what? I will tell my father that he married a lesbian because we both know this is not the first time this has happened.
I'm not a lesbian, you know that.
I'm just kind of embarrassed to talk to you about it.
Do you show any other forms of affection at all?
This fourth scene presents an emotionally rich and nuanced exploration of mentorship, self-recognition, and the delicate unfolding of desire, framed through the interactions between Kendra, Sara, and Lola, in a context that emphasizes learning, emotional safety, and ethical guidance rather than spectacle or transgression. Beginning with the moment of discovery, where Lola inadvertently observes Kendra and Sara sharing an intimate connection, an event that immediately surfaces complex emotions such as curiosity, admiration, and a measure of jealousy, reflecting the multifaceted ways in which women respond to witnessing intimacy among peers, particularly when that intimacy challenges internalized norms or presents a model of self-expression that one may not yet have access to. And the film treats Lola's emotional response as deeply human, validating her surprise, confusion, and longing while also opening the space for reflection and growth, rather than moralizing or sensationalizing the moment. Kendra's role as a mentor and emotionally grounded guide is central to the scene, as she recognizes the importance of providing Lola with clear, supportive, and non-judgmental instruction in navigating her feelings, desires, and emerging understanding of sexuality. And the film emphasizes the ethical weight of this mentorship, showing that guiding another woman through the terrain of emotional intimacy requires sensitivity, attentiveness, and a keen awareness of boundaries, all of which Kendra demonstrates, thereby modeling for viewers the profound responsibility inherent in such relational work. The narrative foregrounds the interior lives of the characters, particularly Lola's oscillation between resistance and curiosity, highlighting how queer women often encounter their own desires in situations that require careful negotiation of social norms, peer perception, and internalized expectations. And the film gives space to these moments of hesitation and contemplation, allowing the audience to witness the cognitive and emotional labor involved in approaching intimacy thoughtfully, recognizing that learning to inhabit one's own desires is a process shaped by socialization, fear of vulnerability, and the persistent need to remain legible and respectable within one's social milieu. The scene further underscores the ways in which mentorship can function as a form of emotional scaffolding, particularly in queer contexts where formal or socially sanctioned guidance may be absent, positioning Kendra as both a role model and a source of experiential knowledge, whose careful combination of explanation, reassurance, and demonstration provides Lola with a framework for understanding the emotional dimensions of intimacy without imposing or overstepping. And the film is careful to illustrate that this guidance is reciprocal, as Kendra herself is attentive to Lola's responses, adjusting her approach to ensure that learning is mutual and ethically grounded. Lola's initial discomfort and reluctance to engage in conversation about intimacy reflect real-world dynamics in which women, particularly those exploring same-sex desire, must negotiate feelings of shame, curiosity, and social scrutiny. And the narrative treats these responses with respect, acknowledging the broader cultural pressures that shape women's comfort with their own emotions and the ways in which these pressures can inhibit authentic self-expression, while also illustrating that mentorship and gentle guidance can create the conditions for self-recognition and confidence to flourish. Throughout the scene, the film emphasizes emotional literacy as central to relational growth, portraying Kendra's explanations and support as a means of helping Lola contextualize and understand her feelings, while also recognizing that emotional learning is not a linear process, but one marked by iterative exploration, questioning, and reflection, a depiction that resonates strongly with LGBTQ+ audiences who often must navigate the complexities of desire, identity, and relational negotiation in contexts that are socially ambivalent or restrictive, and who may see themselves reflected in Lola's mixture of hesitance, curiosity, and emerging clarity. The narrative also situates the development of desire within a framework of ethical responsibility, showing that exploration of emotional and intimate capacities is most meaningful when guided by principles of consent, attentiveness, and mutual respect, and by depicting Kendra as both knowledgeable and sensitive to Lola's readiness. The film foregrounds a model of relational engagement that prioritizes emotional integrity over performance, gratification, or spectacle, offering viewers a vision of lesbian intimacy that is intellectually, ethically, and emotionally rigorous. The scene resonates beyond lesbian-specific experiences, illustrating universal themes of mentorship, self-recognition, and the negotiation of interpersonal boundaries, highlighting how women more broadly are often socialized to manage not only their own desires but also the comfort and expectations of those around them, and how creating space for authentic exploration requires intentionality, patience, and attentiveness to both self and other, a dynamic that the film portrays with nuance, care, and depth. The dynamics of admiration, learning, and ethical guidance in the scene mirror real-world queer experiences in which mentorship, role modeling, and emotional support function as critical mechanisms for developing relational literacy and self-understanding, reflecting the complex interplay of age, experience, and social positioning that often shapes interactions among women in both queer and broader social contexts, and demonstrating that these dynamics can be both empowering and challenging, requiring careful attention to power, consent, and the cultivation of trust. The film's focus on interiority, hesitation, and reflective engagement challenges cultural tendencies to either sensationalize or erase lesbian intimacy, insisting instead that the emotional dimensions of desire, mentorship, and self-discovery are worthy of serious attention. And by presenting Kendra's guidance as grounded in ethical awareness, attentiveness, and emotional responsibility, the scene critiques social discomfort with women's same-sex affection, while also offering a model for how such relationships can be both safe and transformative, fostering growth, self-recognition, and authentic connection. Symbolically, Kendra embodies experience, emotional literacy, and mentorship, while Lola represents the learner, the hesitant observer, and the emerging self. And Sara's presence contextualizes the relational environment, reminding the audience that interpersonal learning occurs within social constellations that are simultaneously supportive and challenging, reflecting the real-world interplay of observation, curiosity, and the negotiation of relational hierarchies. The narrative attends closely to the careful balance between offering guidance and respecting autonomy, illustrating how queer women frequently navigate power differentials in emotional, social, and sometimes professional spheres, and how these dynamics necessitate ongoing reflection, ethical attention, and adaptability in order to cultivate relationships that are nurturing rather than coercive, and instructive rather than domineering, a portrayal that resonates deeply with audiences seeking recognition of authentic relational complexity. The scene further emphasizes that self-recognition and the development of relational competence are iterative, requiring repeated engagement, reflection, and guidance. And that mentorship, when ethically grounded, functions not to dominate or prescribe but to illuminate possibilities, encourage self-reflection, and foster confidence, a depiction that validates the experiences of queer women who may otherwise encounter scarce examples of relational modeling in mainstream media, particularly in contexts that prioritize emotional nuance over spectacle. The film's careful framing of Lola's hesitancy, her questions, and her gradual engagement with Kendra's guidance models a respectful approach to teaching and learning about intimacy, demonstrating that desire and curiosity can coexist with restraint, reflection, and ethical awareness, and that the cultivation of relational skill is itself a process deserving of attention, support, and respect. Beyond its queer specificity, the scene highlights the broader cultural forces that shape women's comfort with intimacy, showing that socialization, norms of propriety, and learned caution often complicate the process of emotional and sexual self-discovery, and that mentorship and ethical guidance can help women navigate these pressures while fostering authentic engagement with themselves and others. The film critiques persistent societal discomfort with women expressing desire and mentoring one another in intimate domains, illustrating how such interactions are often misunderstood or sensationalized, and insisting instead on a vision of lesbian intimacy that privileges emotional truth, ethical engagement, and mutual recognition, a treatment that underscores the quiet power of women-centered relationships and the potential for mentorship to cultivate confidence, self-awareness, and relational sophistication. The careful negotiation of curiosity, admiration, and ethical responsibility in this scene mirrors the lived experience of many queer women, for whom desire is deeply entwined with social and ethical considerations, and for whom learning to inhabit one's own emotional and relational truth requires patience, attention, and guidance from trusted peers, models, or mentors. The scene's emphasis on reflective engagement, ethical modeling, and emotionally grounded mentorship demonstrates that intimacy between women can be simultaneously instructive, nurturing, and liberatory, and that the process of learning about oneself and one's desires is enhanced by careful attention to boundaries, consent, and relational reciprocity. Ultimately, the fourth scene presents a careful, emotionally resonant depiction of how mentorship, self-discovery, and the navigation of desire converge in the interior lives of women, portraying Kendra's guidance of Lola as a vehicle for ethical and relational education, and emphasizing that lesbian intimacy, when framed through attentiveness, restraint, and care, becomes a site of growth, recognition, and profound emotional truth, reminding audiences that becoming visible to oneself and others is an ongoing, iterative, and relationally grounded process, and that the cultivation of authentic connection requires patience, reflection, and the courage to engage openly with one's emotions and curiosities while honoring the experiences and autonomy of others in a world that still negotiates its acceptance of women's love for women.